Good morning, Mr. White. I've been thinking about the best way to learn English lately, and I wanted to get your opinion on it.
Good morning, Jesse. I'm glad you're interested in finding the best way to learn English. In my opinion, the best way to learn English is through storytelling.
Really? How does storytelling help in learning English?
Well, Jesse, storytelling is a powerful tool that can take you on adventures, teach you about other cultures, and introduce you to new vocabulary words. When you read stories, you improve your English speaking, writing, and comprehension skills.
That sounds interesting. Can you explain why reading stories is an excellent way to enhance language learning?
Of course, Jesse. Firstly, reading stories helps you understand the structure of the English language. By seeing how sentences are put together and how vocabulary words are used in context, you start to get a feel for how the language works. It's a more pleasant way to get used to English grammar than doing countless grammar exercises.
That makes sense. What about pronunciation? How does reading stories help in that aspect?
Reading stories out loud helps improve your pronunciation. As you read out loud, you become more familiar with the sounds of English words and learn how to string them together more fluidly. It's also a good way to catch any errors you might make while reading.
I never realized that reading stories could be so beneficial. Is there any other reason why learning through stories is a good idea?
Yes, Jesse. Learning English through stories is enjoyable. A good story is always a great way to escape into another world and relax while still practicing your second language. When you're having fun, you're more likely to pay attention and remember what you've read.
I can see how that would make the learning process more enjoyable. So, now that you've convinced me of the benefits of reading stories, do you have any tips on how to get the most out of it?
Absolutely, Jesse. First, it's important to choose an English story that is at the right level for you. If you're a beginner, look for stories that are short and have simple language. As you become more confident, you can move on to longer and more challenging stories.
That sounds like a good starting point. What else should I keep in mind?
It's also important to read with a purpose. Before you start reading, think about what you want to get out of the story. Are you looking to learn new words, practice reading comprehension, or experience a favorite story in its original language? Having a specific goal in mind will help you focus while reading and make the experience more beneficial.
Okay, I'll make sure to keep that in mind. Anything else?
Yes, Jesse. Take your time while reading. Don't try to speed through the story. Reading slowly will help you understand the text better and pick up new vocabulary words more mindfully.
That's a good point. Sometimes I tend to rush through reading. What about unknown words? Should I guess their meaning based on context?
It can work if you're already somewhat proficient in English, but for beginners, it's better to avoid guessing. If you come across a word you don't know, look it up in a dictionary. This will help you build your vocabulary and ensure that you understand the story. The more you interact with the story, the more you'll get out of it.
That makes sense. And what should I do after reading the story?
It's a good idea to summarize what you've read. Once you finish reading, take a few minutes to summarize the story. This will help you remember what you've read and analyze the story while practicing your writing skills.
Those are great tips, Mr. White. Thank you for sharing them with me. Are there any other ways to incorporate storytelling into English learning?
Certainly, Jesse. If you prefer to learn English online, you can listen to audio stories. This is a great Way to improve your pronunciation and listening skills while following along with the story. There are many YouTube channels, like BBC Learning English, that provide videos with audio stories. Additionally, there are websites that offer free, bite-sized stories online, so you have plenty of options to choose from.
That's great to know. Is there anything else I should consider?
Well, if you're looking for a more immersive learning experience, there are also language learning apps that offer story-based lessons. These apps usually have interactive exercises and games to help you practice your English while you read. They may even provide grammar explanations and audio from native speakers to help you with proper phrasing. One example is the Langster app, which provides stories specifically designed for language learners.
That sounds amazing. I'll definitely check out those resources. Thank you so much, Mr. White, for enlightening me about the benefits of storytelling in language learning.
You're welcome, Jesse. I'm glad I could help. Remember, learning English through stories not only makes the process more enjoyable, but also helps you learn grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation without the pressure of traditional textbooks. So, have fun exploring the world of English stories.
I will, Mr. White. Thank you again for your guidance. I'm excited to start incorporating storytelling into my English learning journey.
I'm glad to hear that, Jesse.
Mr. White, I've been researching different methods for learning English through stories, and I came across the TPR storytelling method. Have you heard of it?
Yes, Jesse, I'm familiar with the TPR storytelling method. It's a popular method developed by Blaine Ray, a Spanish teacher. It involves listening to a short story and focusing on how it sounds without any subtitles or visual cues. Then, you can look up and memorize some vocabulary words and phrases from the story. After that, you listen to the story again, this time with subtitles or words that you can read while you listen. This method helps you practice your listening skills and expand your vocabulary.
That sounds like a great way to learn. And you mentioned finding a good story to practice and study with. What makes a good English learning story?
One important factor is familiarity, Jesse. It can be helpful to choose a story that you're already familiar with, because if you know the story beforehand, it will be easier to follow along and focus on the vocabulary and dialogue. For example, a popular book or movie like Harry Potter, which has been translated into many languages, can be a good choice.
That makes sense. And what about the level of difficulty for the story?
It's important to choose a story that matches your level of English, especially if you're a beginner. Starting with more simple stories is ideal, where you can understand around 70% of the vocabulary. Children's movies or books can also be a good option for beginners. There are rankings online that compare the vocabulary of different movies, which can give you ideas.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. And should the story be something that interests me?
Absolutely, Jesse. It's crucial to choose a story that interests and excites you. If the story is boring or something you can't relate to, it will be less compelling and motivating for you. When you can't wait to find out what happens next, you'll learn at a much faster rate.
Those are really helpful tips, Mr. White. Thank you. Lastly, are there any other benefits of learning through stories?
Yes, Jesse, there are many benefits. Learning through stories is more enjoyable and entertaining compared to other methods. It's less intimidating for beginners, providing them with a stress-free way to learn until they gain confidence. Plus, stories help you expand your vocabulary quickly, provide context for grammar and vocabulary, keep you motivated to study, and allow you to learn about the culture behind the language. Additionally, Stories can act as powerful mnemonic devices, helping you remember new vocabulary terms.
Wow, I never realized how beneficial learning through stories could be. I'm really excited to start incorporating storytelling into my English learning journey. Thank you so much, Mr. White, for enlightening me about the TPR storytelling method and its benefits.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss out on future English learning content. Stay positive, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.